Well, good evening, good people. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Hope everybody's having a great day. Man, I tell you what, the more we get into the George Pickens move, the more I'm literally falling in love with this situation, because I think this may be one of those ones that you're going to see a different person here. Maybe I'm just a Cowboy fan that's hoping against hope, but the more I hear from Pickens, and today we actually got to hear from him with his new team today, and I can't wait to share this with you. But before we do, I do want to go ahead and post for you something that happened a couple of months ago with George Pickens. And this was the last press conference. And we want to compare what we had a few months ago where he was with the Steelers and going through what he's been going through. And here's what we have with him. This is Steelers, George Pickens, not optimistic after the Steelers have had 6 straight playoff losses. Now, he was not part of all 6. He was part of the last 3 because he's only been in the NFL for 3 seasons. Let's go to the tape as we listen to what he had.
What was working in the second half that you guys weren't able to do in the first half, and why?
I'll probably just say, reading defense, they like to drop out a lot, play a lot of double mug, just get into our spots faster.
George, it's been a consistent thing with slow starts. Why does it keep continuing?
I'll probably say, just getting the guys ready. When you come out, and guys, we're trying our hardest, and, certain stuff, the game of football is just going to happen. And guys going to get upfield. They got good players, too. Their players get paid, too. So just trying our best to come out fast.
George, you've been with this offense now for 3 years. Have you seen signs of growth, and how much more does this team still need to grow offensively?
Yeah, I've seen signs of growth for sure. From past, the first year I've been here, just way more growth for sure.
George, does that make you optimistic going forward?
Nah.
What are some of the signs you've seen, George?
You said what?
What are some of the signs of the growth you've seen?
Just everybody, you know what I mean? O-line, running backs, receivers, defensively as well, too.
George, you didn't get involved until late in the second quarter. How much were you trying to make up for some lost time with the big play?
Nah, just whenever I get involved, try to make a play.
George, did you sense that guy coming over? We're going to take a big hit on you on the touchdown?
Nah, I can't. What'd you say again?
No, did you sense that guy coming over? Looked like he wanted to really kick.
Yeah, on the whole shot. Yeah, on the whole shot, I kind of figured it was cover 2. So the safety, that's his job. And I kind of see him out the peripheral while I was catching the ball. Did a little nice spin move.
George, going into the last year of your rookie deal now, think you did enough this year to maybe get that extension this offseason? Or?
I'm really just thinking about right now, to be honest. Can't even think about the future. Just thinking about what just happened.
All right, you guys good? Thanks.
Thank you.
So that was him after they lost in the playoffs here. And he seemed a little flustered, of course, with everything that's gone on with the team and things. And this is where you wonder when you hear about this, and you hear this is a quote from George Pickens. George Pickens on Mike Tomlin saying last season he needed to grow up. Just taking one day at a time. I feel like everybody in the world is working on growing on their bettering of their self. I feel like growth for me is taking a great direction in coming to the Cowboys. So it may be, just hear me out here. It may be that he was just tired of the situation and the location. We've all had jobs. Let's be clear here. We've all had jobs that, we can't, oh God, I don't want to go to work. I don't want to go to work. And you lunching on them. You probably right now, you're probably lunching right now watching me. So don't give, those who live in glass houses. And it may be a situation where it's just like, man, I'm just sick of this thing, man. I'm just tired. I want to be out, and so on. I'm not saying that was the right thing to do, but you can understand if you're not happy, for all we know, maybe he wasn't a Steeler fan growing up and, he hated, I don't know. But from that guy right there, that seemed like, and he's admitted that he felt hopeless. Listening to how he sounds right now, the excitement in here, the fact that he's not, being traded and saying, I want a new contract and things. He allegedly said he didn't ask Mike Tomlin to be traded. Didn't. So he was willing to go ahead and be there. And you can go ahead and look and say CeeDee Lamb has grown up a lot since we lost to the Green Bay Packers. You can say that Micah Parsons grew up from the time he got injured to coming back. So, I know I've done a lot of things when I was younger that I look back and said, God, you were stupid. And so that is growth. But listen, because this is some clips from what he had to say coming in.
Now back to a guy that Kyle played twice a year. George Pickens spoke about being traded to the Cowboys. This just came in moments ago.
I'm grateful to be here, and I'm grateful to play with Dak. As far as like roles and stuff like that, I'm just here to work. Whatever role finds me best is where I'm going to find myself. And I feel like growth for me is taking a great direction and me coming to the Cowboys. I'm kind of where my feet are right now, to be honest. I'm not really thinking about contract talks. I'm just glad to be here at Cowboys right now and, trying to build a winning culture.
All right, Adam, what are the Cowboys hoping for with Pickens in Dallas?
Well, how many times did we hear about the Dallas Cowboys potentially pursuing a wide receiver this offseason? How many times did Field Yates give them a wide receiver in the draft, whether it was Tedero or McMillan or some other player that could come in and complement CeeDee Lamb? And ultimately, Dallas waited until after the draft to trade essentially a 3rd and 6th round pick to Pittsburgh to get one of the most talented wide receivers in the league. Talent, of course, is not the question. There are other issues and questions, and he will have to overcome in Dallas, George Pickens will, a history of other Steelers wide receivers being traded and producing less in their new home. It's a long list of wide receivers. Antonio Brown, Mike Wallace.
That's what they do.
Holmes, Juju Smith-Schuster, Deontay Johnson, Martavius Bryant, Chase Claypool. Very few wide receivers have been moved away from Pittsburgh and gone on to shine elsewhere. Emmanuel Sanders, one of the only exceptions. It's now
Antonio Brown got a Super Bowl
to try to do something that many other wide receivers could not. He's 24. He's going to have a great opportunity to do it. He's got a lot on the line in the last year of his contract, but it's going to be up to him this season.
It's an interesting list, Adam, for sure. And look, no one doubts the talent of George Pickens, right? He'll join CeeDee Lamb to form what could be one of the better wide receiver duos in the league. Both wideouts went over 2,000 receiving yards in the last 2 seasons. They're one of 2 sets of current teammates who each had at least 2,000 yards since 2023, along with Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams on the Rams. So really good company there.
Between the two
how do you
of them.
see Pickens fitting in this offense for the Cowboys?
Seamlessly. I like it for a lot of the same reasons I liked the possibility of Tedero McMillan going to the Cowboys, and Pickens is more proven. Big-bodied X-receiver, contested catch guy, explosive downfield. Pairs really well with CeeDee Lamb, who, of course, has the versatility to play in the slot and outside, so you can hunt matchups. And the quarterback, Dak Prescott, who's aggressive throwing downfield when he sees one-on-ones. I also think having both Pickens and Lamb will help the run game, which has struggled in recent years. They're going to face a lot of those too high shell coverages, more room underneath. They've invested in the offensive line. They drafted a back. So I think we're going to see a more balanced offense as a result.
Yeah, Kyle, you heard what Pickens said about Dallas. You've been traded before. How does a player go about entering a new locker room, trying to ingratiate himself with everybody else already in there?
Yeah, the biggest thing is gaining the trust of your players and your teammates. George Pickens, great, phenomenal talent. Now he has to do the, hey, how you doing? Are you doing good today? Build the trust of your teammates. Get a relationship with that quarterback, Dak Prescott. He said Dak Prescott already reached out to him, so that's key. But he really has to do that in practice. One thing that I did when I got traded was gain the trust with my play. I didn't go in and talk and do all that. I tried to gain the trust of my teammates. I did that in practice. The first day, thanks Jimmy G, I picked him off, and that was kind of the start of my trust with the teammates and the coaches. So George Pickens, please gain the trust of your teammates, and then the rest, You're good at what you do. Just make plays.
So can the Cowboys trade for Jimmy G from the Rams, late round pick, just to get the George Pickens confidence sky high? So on paper, we've talked about this now. So the cost was moderate in terms of the draft compensation, right? Essentially a third and a fifth next year. On top of that, George Pickens is going to make less than $4 million next season for a guy who's already got a 1,000-yard season on his ledger. That is basically pennies in NFL wide receiver money. On top of that, Mina talks about the fit. It's a quarterback who's unafraid to be aggressive. He'll be the number 2. He'll take pressure off of C.D. Lamb. All of these things seem great, right? It reminds us, though, that this is a straightforward trade. This trade will be as good as George Pickens wants and allows it to be. George Pickens has a chance to prove that he can be accountable. He can be a reliable teammate every single day, that he can control his emotions on the field. If those weren't question marks, major question marks, I would say, he wouldn't have been available in the first place. The Steelers wouldn't have traded the second-round pick to the Seahawks and then paid DK Metcalf $150 million. On paper, there's so much to like about this trade. And for a guy who's going into the final year of his rookie contract with this huge pot on the proverbial other side of the rainbow available, Kyle, this is a massive opportunity for him to make good on what seems like a tailor-made fit.
Yeah, I mean, Jahan Dodson was traded last year from the Redskins to the Eagles for a third-round pick. I think the Cowboys are getting great value in a third-round pick. But more importantly, let's say he does ball out and they don't want to pay him. The Cowboys get a comp pick when he gets paid by another team, and I think that's really, really good value as well.
Okay, if the great Eric DeCosta, the GM of your Ravens franchise, is watching right now, he's so proud. You're talking about the potential for a comp pick. Nobody loves their comp picks like the Baltimore Ravens. You are truly a Raven. Well done.
I love it. I mean, it's funny. I've even seen some stuff on Twitter where people were like, oh, look, Jerry Jones and Howie Roseman, they're both playing this so well. And I don't think any of us think that Jerry Jones is quite the level of what Howie Roseman has done. But you do see some of these moves that the Cowboys have made, and you say, okay, we see what you're
they're Howie-like.
Let's talk about this Ravens defense, okay? What do you think is the next step for you?
Okay. I'm going to leave it right there because we're done with the Cowboys. Again, the more I hear from him, again, we're not in pads. We're not playing games. We're not in the heat and the battle and all that. But he recognizes that I've got to go, I'm going to get paid by what I do right now. And guys in contract years, for some reason, it seems to be when they typically will perform. Not everybody, but you can best believe he knows. Listen, if I handle my business, don't have an outburst, and perform on the field, it's straight butter. It's straight butter. The salary cap will be even higher next year. And if I'm a free agent, I can pick whoever I want to go to. Or I might want to stay here with the Cowboys and build my brand and get a podcast. And what I'm hoping is happening is that the Joneses are realizing that good news sells too. That you don't have to be just an embarrassment and say I want some glory holes. You can actually get a lot of praise for doing your job. All righty, people. It's after 9 o'clock already tonight. Wow. We've been busy as can be the last 48 hours. And I hope it stays that way. Thank you very much, Dallas Cowboys, for doing all you do to keep us in business. Peace out.